Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all, so hopefully find this one interesting. This movie is a horror film from France, French language English subs, released in the year 2024, directed by Xavier Gens, and this film is called Under Paris. So Under Paris centres upon the Seine River in Paris, France, and we have a triathlon that's coming up. Now, the government in Paris, they really want this to work because this is a taste tester before the Olympics, and so the people in charge really want this to work. But unfortunately, there are some researchers who determine that there is a shark in the Seine River, that it has adapted to the conditions, and that the triathlon must be cancelled. But the government's not going to have anything of this. They want this to work and they need it to work, so they tell the researchers, take care of it, get rid of this shark before the event takes place. And so as the event nears closer, this shark is becoming harder and harder to find, and whether or not they can find it in time is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Under Paris. I was actually quite intrigued to see this film because Xavier Gens is a very good director. He's part of the Fab Four in French horror. They Fab Four meaning that there were 4 films that come out of France that really hit the world by storm: Martyrs, Inside, High Tension, and Xavier Gens' film Frontiers. Now I really like Frontiers. I definitely feel as though it was better than High Tension, and that was a film that wasn't the most creative film, but it was a very nasty movie. And so Xavier Gens has got a name for himself now. He actually went over to the United States and made a film called The Divide, and I really liked The Divide. He also made another movie called Cold Skin that wasn't too bad. And so coming into Under Paris is another French film, and I was hoping that Xavier Gens would go back to what made him the really good director that he is, has some shocking violence, and provides something a little bit new to the table. And so having those expectations, I had hesitations based on the fact that it is a shark film, but I saw the trailer and I thought this does look promising. And after watching Under Paris, I will say that there are some positives. The biggest positive is that it actually looks pretty good. The production is actually quite crisp, and I thought the shark looked pretty decent as well. There is a little bit of CGI thrown in there, but I thought as though compared to other shark films, it actually looks quite decent. And I really love the end of the film. The ending was absolutely fantastic. And so I'm not going to tell you what happens, but I actually really liked the way it capped off, and it gave me that French sort of flavour. And so the end of the film I actually thought was quite soul-searching and thought-provoking, so I thought the end was very good. And another scene about 3/4 of the way through the film I thought was also very good. It was very suspenseful. So there's a bit of suspense thrown into the film. I thought the acting was decent. The overall production is very competent. And so Xavier Gens definitely knows what he's doing behind the camera. But unfortunately, the biggest issue to this movie is that it is a shark film by the numbers. Basically, the run-of-the-mill, you've got people trying to convince other people that something really bad is going to happen. They don't believe it, so they've got to go out of their way to try and prove it. No matter how much evidence is thrown at them, they're not going to change their opinions. So you've seen this done time and time and time again. And so for a competently made film from a no-name director, it actually would have been serviceable. But unfortunately for Xavier Gens, I just wanted so much more from this movie. I just felt as though it was a step back from what he's created in the past. He hasn't made a really bad film so far, and I definitely feel as though this is his weakest movie. I wouldn't go out of my way to say that this is a terrible film, but it's not enough from such an accomplished director. Yeah, he made Frontiers, he's made Cold Skin, The Divide, films that actually had their own style, whereas this film, I just felt as though it was a step backwards, because I felt as though he does play a very generic role in the oversaturated subgenre of shark film. So it is a more serious sort of shark film than other movies, but I thought as though for an accomplished director, just a little bit of a step back. I thought as though it was a little bit lazy. It stays confined to what you've seen before. And from such a director, I just wanted a lot more. And so that's unfortunately the issue that I have with this movie. It does become quite predictable up until the very end. And so that predictability does eliminate some of the suspense, but I thought as though some of the set pieces were really, really well done. And so that's something that I'll give for Under Paris, is that it is really well done. There are some set pieces that are fantastic, but unfortunately it's that predictable sort of plot that's been told time and time again that just made me feel as though I wanted something more. And so for a no-name director, it would have been a lot better, but for a director that has made really good films in the past, I just felt as though this was a lazier film of his. It's a movie that is definitely serviceable, that I'd watch, that I would recommend to you. especially if you are a fan of Xavier Gens. But as I said, I just wanted a little bit more, and unfortunately I just didn't get what I wanted. And so there are moments that were a little bit silly, but there are moments, as I said, that compensate for that because they are actually quite decently done. So it's a Netflix film, and I thought it's definitely a one-time watch. You can do a lot worse, especially in the subgenre of shark films. So if you like that kind of thing, I would say go out there and see Under Paris. But for me, I've just seen it all before. It's the formula and the setup that has been done time and time again, and unfortunately I just couldn't help but feel as though I was watching a movie that was recycled, and coming from a director such as Xavier Gens, I couldn't help but feel a little bit of disappointment. So overall, certainly not a bad film, but it's just it's a movie that's not going to last in the memory. I'm going to give this film 2.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.